Challenge your brother and see how he reacts. While Grant was looking at his phone, I suddenly straddled his legs, grabbed his tie and kissed him. He covered his lips and looked at me in disbelief. Then I heard my mother's surprised scream from the phone. "Grant's mom! It's real. 01. If time could go back, I would choose to go back to one day ago. If not, then I would choose to die. I regret it, I really regret it. As a video blogger, chasing hot topics, creating hits, and following trends are essential skills. When I was looking for topics in short videos, I found that suddenly kiss your brother and look at his shocked and surprised expression has become the new traffic code. Seeing this, I slapped my thigh and thought, this is a great idea. After all, I have ready-made brothers. Our moms are good friends, so Grant and I grew up together. Except for the fact that we went to college in different cities, we basically haven't been apart for too long. After graduating from college, Grant joined his own company, and I became a video blogger, doing things at home all day. In the words of my mother, I was just wandering around the house all day, like a monkey. Then they packed my luggage and dropped me off at Grant's house, who lived alone outside, and asked me to learn more from him. I don't know what to learn. I learned how to lift weights, how to be self-disciplined, how to be like a monk. I never had a girlfriend since I was a child. If I had learned from him, I would have no happiness at all. I don't eat fried chicken, drink beer, or eat skewers, hot pot, or barbecue. TSK, 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 TSK. I wonder which girl will be harmed by such a weirdo in the future. 02. In the evening, Grant came home from get off work. Without even changing his clothes, he sat on the sofa, clutching his phone, not knowing what he was looking at. I had already hidden my phone on the TV cabinet. I chuckled and tiptoed to his side. He was looking at his phone and didn't notice me. While he wasn't paying attention, I rode on his knees, found the right opportunity to grab his tie, and wanted to kiss his face. As a result, he turned his head away, and the moment our lips touched, we were both stunned. Then I heard my dear mother screaming on the phone, Mom, Grant, come on, we're finally getting the real thing." I turned my head back in a pause like a rusty machine and saw the screen of the mobile phone on the stand. It was a WeChat video, and the person in the video was my mother. As my mother screamed, Grant's mother rushed over with a face mask on. Seeing me still sitting on Grant's legs in a daze, she said, "You two. When were you two going to be together?" Facing the questions, I turned to look at Grant, hoping he would explain quickly. But when he saw me being embarrassed, he sneered and slowly leaned back, letting the two mothers ask me questions without any intention of intervening. I was so angry that I grabbed Grant's tie again, leaned closer to him, and said in a crazy voice, "Explain it. Please explain it quickly." But he just had a cold look in his eyes and let me pull him, frowning, and I don't know what he was thinking about. There was another scream from the other end of the video call. My mother was surprised and said, "I didn't expect that our Troy would be so domineering. Is he the top?" Grant's mother disagreed and retorted, "Troy is not as tall as Grant, and he has never been as strong as Grant since he was a child. Grant is better at attacking, and he can be carried." My mother nodded frantically beside me. Yes, it's good to hold it. It's more stimulating, and suddenly inspiration came to me. I feel like I can draw 20 pictures right away. Grant's mother looked at the two of us and smiled sinisterly. "And Troy is small, with a thin waist and soft legs. He must look good in a skirt. And being held by Grant, My mom also started laughing, then nodded and said, "You have a point. Grant is better as the top. Grant definitely doesn't look as good as Troy in a skirt." Mom, is it really appropriate for you to give up on me so easily without struggling? What's wrong with me being unfit to be the top? My ultimate fierce attack is okay. But wearing a skirt? Being picked up by Grant? I sat on Grant's lap, holding my tie, stiff and disheveled in the wind. Grant sighed, suppressed his anger, looked at me with an angry look and said, "Take care of the household chores." Then he hugged my waist and hung up the video. After hearing what he said, there were shocked expressions and screams from the other side of the video. "It's over. I'm going to die. I choose to die, thank you, no need to rescue me. 03. When I thought that after today, what happened between Grant and I would become known to everyone, I suddenly felt a chill down my spine. Grant, do you think I can die right where I am if I jump off the building? Grant glanced at me and said, you won't die even if you jump from the roof. I grabbed my tie like crazy and Grant slapped me on the butt. We were both stunned at the same time, and then we heard Grant's suppressed, angry voice. How long are you going to sit on my lap? I stood up immediately, then realized I was still holding on to my tie and quickly let go. Grant was sitting on the sofa, tugging at his tight collar in annoyance. He was still wearing the formal suit he wore to work. He crossed his legs, put one hand on his knee, frowned deeply, glanced at me, and tapped his legs with his fingertips in annoyance. I was like a little wife, sitting obediently on the carpet, waiting for him to come up with a solution. I told my mom I was going to record a video, but she didn't believe me at all. My credit value with my mother has reached negative. She doesn't believe me at all. When she sees me sending WeChat messages, she doesn't even reply. Why don't you explain it to your aunt? You know how my mother treated me. I even doubt that I'm her biological child. Grant took out his phone and sent a message. Troy is taking a video. The phone vibrated, and then with a bad look on her face, she threw the phone in front of me. Grant's mother replied, interest? You can take videos, but be careful to protect your privacy. Mom definitely supports you, and your Aunt Yen Yen as well. Grant looked at me with such a frightening coldness that I sat on the carpet shivering and tried to make a suggestion. How about, you tell your mom that you dumped me. That way you can save face and we won't have to worry about each other. I can also move back home. I suggested it quietly, and the more I talked about it, the better this idea seemed to me. Grant sneered and pointed the finger at me. Why don't you tell your mom? I don't need this face. When I thought about how if I told my mom that I dumped Grant, she would call me 80 times a day to scold me, I felt a chill all over my body. It was so horrible. I moved my butt to Grant's feet for help, stared at him pitifully with my big, clueless eyes, and held his hand, begging him to find a solution. Grant, can you think of a solution? When I was a kid, I had a round face with baby fat and 2 big dimples, and this trick worked great for Grant. Whenever I got into trouble, I would act pitiful towards him, and 99 times out of 100, Grant would take the blame for me. But I've grown up and haven't used it for a long time, so I'm not sure if it still works. Grant looked at me with disdain for a long while, and finally stretched out his big hand and pinched my face hard, sighing, let's leave it like this for now, it will calm down after a while. Can it really stop? I had my doubts, but seeing Grant's unhappy face, I swallowed my words. It's good to be alive. 04. The video has been shot and the traffic password is known, but no one understands it and I dare not post it at all. But looking at my already small number of fans, coupled with my recent lack of inspiration, I stared at the video on my phone, and between being killed by Grant and the data skyrocketing, I chose to edit the video immediately. Grant is very busy at work and probably doesn't have time to check his phone. The probability of him seeing it is smaller than me eating instant noodles without seasoning. The recorded video recorded everything from the moment Grant walked in to the moment I called him brother and begged him to find a solution. My mom admits that Grant is more aggressive than me. Cut it out, cut it out. After an hour and a half of editing and splicing, the video was finally completed. Of course, I also remembered to blur Grant's part. With my excited heart and trembling hands, I uploaded the video. The next morning, I opened the short video platform first. When I saw 99 messages in the message bar, my heart started pounding. Holding the cell phone, I rolled around on the bed, wishing I could run downstairs in my shorts and run a few laps. Click to comment. Oh my God. A sunny and lively puppy with a gentle and restrained fierce attack. Ah, sisters. Look it up riding on his good brother's legs, with his big hands on his waist, his 2 palms almost completely pinching his waist. What a perfect waist. Huh? I was so embarrassed that I dug my toes into the ground. So what are girls watching nowadays? Am I the only one who is controlled by voices? When I heard Demengong say that he would take care of household chores, I was literally drooling. Um, I just want to ask you, you haven't posted any videos for a while. Is it because your husband has been fucking you all night? Hey, hey, hey. His little face turned pale and he couldn't bear to watch it any longer. So he threw his phone on the bed and covered his head to pretend to be dead. What kind of vicious words are these? 05. I felt a sudden slap on my butt, and when I looked up from under the covers, I saw Grant standing by the bed in casual clothes. I quickly reached out to grab the phone, held it in my arms, and asked him in horror, "Why are you at home? Shouldn't you be working hard at the company?" Grant looked at me from head to toe with a straight face. His eyes finally stopped at the phone and he asked pointedly, "Did you do anything wrong?" Ha ha ha. Bullshit. I'm doing everything right. With a cold snort, Grant turned and walked out without further ado. I'm eating. I ordered takeout. When I saw he was out of sight, I immediately closed the app and gasped for breath. It was really scary. My favorite crab roe buns were on the table. My eyes lit up immediately when I saw them, and I looked at my good brother with emotion. Good brother, don't forget me when you become rich. Forget it. Let's just forget about it. Grant raised his eyebrows and watched me eat the buns in big mouthfuls, then turned his head away with disgust. The video of kissing Grant, coupled with the two mothers' crazy reactions about the couple, became a huge hit on the short video platform within a week, with over 20 million views and more than 1 million followers. Although the video has become popular and may be seen by Grant, I was so moved thinking about this month's salary that I shed tears. Isn't it just a beating? At worst, I can lose my face and let him ravage me. It's not shameful to sacrifice my face for glory. 06. A company contacted me and asked me to promote their gaming chair product for them at a price of $50,000 for a video with 1 million views. I swallowed my saliva and stared at the quote on the computer. Is this going to make it big and reach the pinnacle of life? Has this overwhelming wealth finally poured down on my head? I cried with joy and immediately signed the contract. When I was about to record the video, I suddenly felt a little regretful. My brain had been corrupted by money. The previous video was an accident, and the next one might not have the same effect. In the evening, Grant came home with a delivery box and threw it in front of me, who was still depressed. What? Something your aunt sent you. It must be delicious. My mother loves to share with me the snacks she has newly discovered, even though I usually can't finish them. It's fine if you just send me snacks that you can't finish or that don't taste good. But you can also say that you're not wasting food. Can anyone tell me why they sent me a skirt? Oh, Grant was holding a cup of coffee, leaning against the wall, looking at the little black dress in my hand and laughing mockingly. Ash. I threw the skirt in my hand and rushed towards Grant fiercely, vowing to fight him to the death and save my face in front of him, which no longer existed. Then Grant held his head with one hand and stopped him 1 meter away. 07. Son, did you receive the skirt I mailed to you? Wear it and take a photo for Mom. I haven't had any inspiration lately, so take a photo according to this picture. It would be best if you can take a short video. After being taught a lesson unilaterally by Grant, he immediately sent a message to his mother. Not only did he not explain anything, but he was also assigned a task. I looked at the picture she sent me. A tall, strong, and handsome man was sitting on a chair. A girl in a black dress bent over and approached the man sitting on the chair. She tied her hair with one hand, revealing her beautiful profile. The two of them were very close, so close that they seemed about to kiss. Ambiguity and hormones. Let me wear women's clothes and shoot this with Grant. I might as well die. Before I could reply, my mother, who knows me well, sent me a message. If my son doesn't listen, I won't have to keep all the treasures I've collected. Smile, smile, smile. In the picture, there are various models and figurines that I have collected since I was a child, and the scissors in my mother's hand. Threat, naked threat. I struggled for 2 minutes wearing the wig and looking at the skirt with a grimace, but finally I put it on. All for my baby. The fabric of the skirt was very smooth, and it felt a little cold against her naked upper body. She fell 5 times with every step while putting on her 5-centimeter high heels. As soon as I arrived in the living room, Grant, who was still drinking coffee, spat out the coffee in his mouth and looked at me in shock. Look at that. Come and help me. Grant walked to my side sluggishly, held my arm, walked a few steps, and suddenly his face turned red and nervously lifted my shoulder strap. What are you doing? I looked at Grant with a puzzled look on my face, and he coughed lightly, turned his head away from me, and said with a little embarrassment, I saw it. Pink. Shit. I immediately took my hand back, crossed my arms over my chest, and looked at him warily. He gritted his teeth and put his phone in place, then pushed the confused Grant onto the newly arrived advertised gaming chair and struck a pose imitating the one in the picture. His head slowly moved towards Grant, his expression changing from a question mark to an exclamation mark, before his eyes darkened and he leaned forward with red behind his ears. Soft lips pressed against mine, and I took a big step back with a look of shock on my face. What are you doing? Grant had water stains on the corners of his lips and frowned at me. Why else do I want to ask you? My mom said she had no inspiration, so she asked me to wear a skirt and take a photo with you, and threatened me with my figurines. Why did you reach out to me? Didn't your aunt send you a message? My mom is a fan artist and Grant's mom is a novel writer. When we were young, it was common for us to be asked to take photos suddenly, so I subconsciously thought that Grant's mom had discussed this with Grant. It was totally off the mark. I covered my mouth and looked at Grant. I'm afraid I can't keep this brother anymore. Grant gritted his teeth and covered his forehead. Can you tell me next time when we shoot? I thought you. What about me? Night meow, you don't think I seduced you, do you? You don't like boys, do you? Grant's eyes swept from my empty chest to the long legs and high heels under the short skirt, and finally stopped at my face. His face flushed. So cute. Since childhood, if I needed Grant's help, as long as it was through a phone or computer, Grant would be cold and ruthless. But whenever we met, he would help me while looking down on me. Thinking of the cute girl with long hair and dimples that I saw in the mirror just now, I swallowed my saliva and discovered a new world. Grant can't resist my face. 08. I accidentally saw the gaming chair that Grant was sitting on when I sent the video to the kidnappers to rescue the hostages. Oh, it just so happens that I have more than 1 million followers. I saw other bloggers with 1 million followers would give out benefits, including women's clothing and so on. I have already worn them, and there are also advertisements. Why not give them out together? Good idea, Troy. You are a genius. As soon as the video was released, the comment section exploded. Oh my god. The Upgirl outfit is so cute, and the legs are so long. It was the big attack last time, right? I saw your hand. You think we are not your own people, right? You hide your husband from me. The bed is for you. Do it in front of me. Thank you. Women's clothing is so cute. Please post more and enjoy. These fans are really crazy. But seeing the rapidly increasing number of fans and views still made me smile. However, wearing women's clothing doesn't seem so difficult to accept. If each video has millions of views, it's not a problem to wear women's clothing a few times. Sure enough, when it comes to women's clothing, there are only once and countless times. 09. Grant has been acting a little strange these past few days, often leaving early and coming back late, or looking embarrassed when he sees me. I wasn't even afraid of what he would do to me at night. He was hiding from me. The number of fans quickly reached 2 million. Since the last time I posted 1 million women's clothing, I haven't posted anything related. This time with 2 million, the private messages from fans are almost exploding my private messages. Seeking women's clothing, seeking women's clothing, seeking a black silk lady, seeking a big attack, kneeling on the ground to put shoes on the lady, and then stepping on his knees. Ah, please write an article, I will chase it immediately. First glance at women's clothing benefits. Slide away. What? Black silk lady? Slide back and take another look. What? Step on the face? Must give a thumbs up. Black stockings or something. It's a bit embarrassing, but the first comment got 20,000 likes in a blink of an eye, which really made it difficult for me to make a decision. Damn it, isn't it just black silk? For a little money, it's all right to be punished. I immediately sent a message to my mom. Mom, can you buy me a set of black silk skirts? I didn't want to let my mother know, but as a straight guy, I couldn't tell the difference between skirts, shoes, and hair, and I didn't know other girls, so I had to tell my mother. I didn't expect my mother, who always ignores me, to reply. As soon as I opened the shopping app, I heard the message alert sound. Son, you asked the right question. Your Aunt Marissa and I will definitely choose the best one for you. Live happily with Grant, smile, smile, smile. This is really the first time in my life that something has happened so quickly. I'm impressed. 10. What is this? I weighed the two silicone bodies in my hands and asked the live broadcast room in confusion. Yes, as a benefit for my 2 million fans, I originally just wanted to post a video of myself dressing up as a woman, but I felt it was not serious enough and could not reflect my love for my fans, so I temporarily decided to live broadcast a video of myself dressing up as a woman. Anyway, Grant was out early and back late these days, so he wouldn't be able to meet her. It just so happened that my mother's clothes arrived, so I started a live broadcast. Hee, what is the must-have item for a cross-dressing man? When I saw this in the comments, my face turned red, and I thought I had overreacted. There was a burst of laughter in the barrage, and the atmosphere was very cheerful. Only I walked into the bedroom with a red face, carrying my skirt, wig, and shoes. 10 minutes later, I appeared in the camera wearing a wig braided by my mother, a beautiful little skirt, high heels, and black stockings. The comments were quiet for a moment, then exploded. I'm already lying down. The young lady is loving me from the front. Oh, don't say that I can't hold back the big attack. No one can hold back. Okay? Black stockings, long legs, and an innocent face. Absolutely stunning. My face turned red and I was about to speak when I heard the sound of a door opening. The live broadcast room exploded. I heard footsteps. Is the onslaught back? Come on, let's see the onslaught. Wow. This little cutie in black stockings. I hope she won't be swallowed in front of us. You're welcome. We don't need the bed. The sofa in front of us is good. Don't treat us as outsiders. I turned around and saw Grant walking in with a red face and reeking of alcohol. When he saw me, his pupils, which had been dull due to drinking, suddenly dilated, and he walked towards me with a red face, pulling my tie. He walked up to me, lifted my chin with one hand, and then a hoarse and low voice sounded. How cute! I swallowed involuntarily, feeling something was wrong. Can I kiss you? I stared at Grant as he finished speaking. He then put his arms around my waist, pressed me into his arms, and moved his soft, drunken lips closer to mine. Hello? You asked and then listened to the other person's answer. Why did you kiss him directly? The live broadcast room exploded. Is this something I can watch for free? The big attacker is so handsome and has a nice body. Can you take off your clothes and show them to our poor little fans? They look perfect together. I also think they are so cute. They have an anti-face. Hurry. Sofa. I'm ready. Don't pity me just because I'm a delicate flower. After finally pushing Grant away, my legs went weak and I fell down onto the sofa behind me. Grant was pushed away and still had the nerve to feel wronged. I was so angry that I wanted to embarrass him and take revenge on him. So I said to him in a vicious voice, "Kneel down." I originally wanted to save face, but I didn't expect that drunk Grant would actually kneel down on one knee in front of my legs. I didn't react for a moment, then I kicked off my tired high heels and tried to kick Grant in the shoulder, but he grabbed my calf. His big hands with distinct bony fingers rubbed my calves repeatedly. Then he lowered his head, put my feet on his knees, and carefully put on my shoes, which I had kicked off, bit by bit. I looked up in a daze and saw the phone that was broadcasting live. The gifts in the live broadcast room were all over the screen, and the screen was stuck because of the scrolling comments. Oh no! He stood up and immediately reached out to close the live broadcast room. Looking at Grant, who was kneeling on one knee, hugging my legs, and rubbing his face against my black stockings. I hope you will be strong enough after you sober up. My best wishes to you. 11. I was sleeping soundly in the morning, when suddenly I felt cold and the quilt was lifted up. I squinted my eyes and saw Grant in his underwear staring at the bed and me under the quilt with a look of disbelief on his face. I closed my eyes, pulled the quilt back, and just as I was about to continue sleeping, a pair of large hands grabbed my shoulders and then shook me back and forth. Troy, nothing ever happened between us, right? I opened my eyes and looked at him with death rays like a dead fish. Ha. He loosened his hands stiffly, then looked down, staring at the bottom of my quilt. You are not hurt, are you? I drank too much at the social event yesterday. I didn't mean it. As he said this, he reached out to grab me to see if I was hurt. I was so upset. I thought to myself, this bastard must have thought that he was drunk last night and forced himself on me. I slapped the hand that was grabbing my arm, pouted, threw the phone in front of him, and opened the video recording that had already become a hot topic. He crossed his arms calmly, ready to see Grant's expression, but after he finished looking, he was left with a somewhat messy hair, a defiant look, and a blank expression on his handsome face. Troy, I want to know why our videos appear on the short video platform? Finished. Forgot he didn't know. I posted a video of the two of us. I kicked the bed frantically to move backwards, but Grant reached out and grabbed me and dragged me back. She stretched out her legs and kicked him, trying to break free from his control, but Grant turned her over and pressed her down on the bed. In order to suppress me, this bastard controlled my hands and feet from behind, as if my whole body was held in his arms. He held me down and tried to hit me, but I struggled desperately and turned around to fight back. At this moment, I felt like I was suddenly hit by something. Grant and I both froze for a moment. Men, early in the morning, those who understand will understand. It's nothing, after all, they are all boys, I understand. But for some reason, this bastard Grant suddenly moved and scared the hell out of me. Grant, get off my feet. 12. God knows why I am currently wearing a skirt, a mask, and shopping in the mall with Grant. After the video incident was exposed, Grant felt that his reputation and honor had been severely damaged by me, and he demanded that I pay him mental compensation. Otherwise, he would tell my mother. Damn it. I was severely threatened. The compensation after negotiation was that I had to wear the women's clothes he bought for me to satisfy his perverted little hobby. Of course, in order to avoid being at a disadvantage, I also worked hard to fight for my rights. That is, in future videos, Grant will appear in person to help me increase my popularity. Although wearing women's clothes makes me uncomfortable, it is still a win-win situation under the current circumstances. President Xi waved his hand and bought a basket of various beautiful dresses. He looked at me, wanting me to help share the burden. I simply took off my mask and blinked at him innocently. I saw Grant's face turn red, and then he gritted his teeth and carried a bunch of clothes bags by himself, and he no longer wanted me to help share the burden. What did you say? Let me accompany you to a class reunion? Are you crazy? I looked at the skirt in Grant's hand in disbelief. I can't help it. You know I don't have any girls around me, so I can only ask you for help. Grant crossed his hands and placed them on his knees, looking at me with clear eyes, which were completely different from the look in his eyes when he was wearing women's clothes. It's just a class reunion. It doesn't matter if you bring your girlfriend or not, right? I appealed to his emotions and reason, but the bastard just raised his phone, which contained my mother's WeChat chat box. With a cold snort, she picked up the skirt from his legs and went back to the bedroom to change clothes and put on the wig from before. Let's go. I didn't go directly to the restaurant on the way, but went to the counter first and asked someone to do my makeup. Grant watched my face being squashed and rounded by the makeup artist, and he even stood by and shyly added, "Make it cuter. Hate it." 13. The moment I walked into the private room with Grant, everyone in the room looked at me in surprise. One of them, a cold and beautiful lady with fair skin, looked at me with a gaze that was like a knife. When I was about to sit down during dinner, I was pushed away by someone. The sister pushed me away and sat next to Grant. Seeing that I was pushed, Grant hugged me directly, holding me up and down with excessive care. "Are you okay? Did you sprain your ankle in your high heels?" All the classmates looked at me. I was a little embarrassed and gently pushed Grant. I was afraid that he would hear my voice as a man, so I said in a very low voice, "I'm fine." Grant turned around and looked at the sister coldly. In order to ease the atmosphere, the monitor quickly said, "The food is served." Gao Xian, please sit down and have a taste. Grant, take care of your girlfriend. The food here tastes great. I thought the matter was over and the atmosphere at the dinner table was lively. But after the meal, the sister suddenly glanced at me and looked at Grant. I didn't expect you like this type of girl? But you don't know since you haven't been in love much. This kind of girl who looks cute and well-behaved is not as simple as she appears on the surface. There was a lot of sarcasm in his words, saying that I was attracted to Grant because of his family and money, and that he might have an immoral private life. Grant looked at her coldly as she kept talking. The whole class was frightened by Gao Xian and no one said a word. I found the scene very awkward and thought Grant probably wanted to stay as well. Plus, he felt a little unhappy after being pushed just now and he just didn't want to have a conflict with a girl. If she insists on doing this, then I won't be polite. I reached out and took off the wig, then waved it at the girl. Sister, I'm a boy. Besides, my mom and Grant's mom are best friends. We grew up together. I don't really care about money or family. Grant frowned, took the wig, and put it back on me bit by bit in front of everyone. Gao Xian glared. Grant, you like boys. Well, if you like men, you don't stand a chance. He put his long arms around my shoulders, quickly pressed his lips against mine. Then without even looking at Gao Xian, he picked up the bag for me and took my hand as we walked out of the room. When I was leaving, I saw Gao Xian had a dazed look on her face, and then she felt like she had lost all hope in life. It would probably take a long time for her to figure out why she lost to a man. Gao Xian is Grant's college classmate. She is beautiful and comes from a good family. However, she is spoiled and behaves recklessly. According to Grant's mother, an insider, the girl fell in love with Grant at first sight and pursued him for 4 years. She even asked for Grant's address during the winter and summer vacations and followed him to his home, which scared Grant's mother and father who were at home at the time. Grant's mother's original words were, "The little girl is pretty, but too reckless. She's not the type that my son Grant likes." After we got out of the door, I punched him. "You can help me, but how can you kiss me?" Grant held my arm with one hand and pushed me against the wall, and pressed his other hand against the wall to give me a wall bang, with raised eyebrows and a smile on the corners of his lips. "Not convinced? Then let you kiss me back? The devil wants to kiss you." 14. The video I posted was eventually seen by my mom and Grant's mom. When my mom called me on video, I was wearing the JK skirt that Grant bought and was preparing to take a set of photos with him of a JK girl and a domineering president, who knew that I was wearing white stockings when Grant, the bastard, pushed the door open. In order to pull off my socks, I lifted my legs a little high, and underneath were my favorite strawberry bear underwear. Grant's eyes stared directly at me. I rushed over and pushed him out of the room. I yelled at him, "Look at your crotch." Grant's deep, low laugh was heard from the other side of the door, and there were 3 knocks on the door. "Auntie called you on video." Opening the door with a click, Grant glared at me with a red face, took a step forward and stood in front of me. The white and clean big hand followed the folds of the JK skirt to the edge of the skirt, and with a smile on his lips, he slightly pulled the skirt with his fingertips. He leaned close to my face and whispered in a voice that only I could hear, "Yes, it's pink. You are pink, your whole family is pink." 15. At 8 o'clock in the evening, I was lying in bed watching videos and came across a newly opened hot pot restaurant. Immediately, my stomach started to growl. He jumped off the bed, stood in front of Grant's door, and banged on it. "Grant, hurry up. My stomach hurts." Grant's flat voice came from behind. "What are you doing?" When I turned around, I saw Grant standing at the bathroom door. His chest and abdominal muscles were clearly visible. On his undried hair, water droplets dripped from the ends of his hair onto his strong muscles, flowed down his skin, and were submerged in the simple bath towel. I swallowed and suddenly felt thirsty. There was a humming sound of ventilation coming from the bathroom. Grant came over in slippers and reached out his hand to touch my belly. I subconsciously dodged. "It doesn't hurt anymore?" I looked away, feeling a little guilty. "I'm just kidding. I'm actually hungry. Can you accompany me to eat hot pot?" We haven't been to hot pot together since high school. Seeing that I was fine, he took the white towel from around my neck with his slender hands and wiped my still dripping hair. No. What's the point of taking care of your health when you're less than 30 years old? How can someone with a strong body and soft lips speak words as cold as minus 180 degrees Celsius? I don't understand, but I have a solution. She quickly returned to her bedroom, picked out a pink dress, put on her bob wig, then rushed out of the bedroom and headed straight for Grant's room. Grant was already leaning against the head of the bed, wearing a pair of silver-framed glasses and holding an unknown foreign language book in his hands. When I heard the voice and looked up, I saw the limited edition skin of Bob Hair Girl Jade, and my eyes were fixed on it for a moment. I took the opportunity to climb onto the bed from the foot of the bed, quickly crawled to Grant's legs, then sat on his legs, staring at him with my pitiful big eyes. Grant, I'm hungry. Grant's Adam's apple moved, and he raised his hand to push his glasses down. What do you want to eat? Hot pot, the new one in the east part of the city. I want to eat it, and I want to eat it now. I got up from him excitedly and was about to run out, but a hand grabbed my wrist and pulled me back. He didn't break in time and crashed directly into Grant's shirtless arms. He looked up and saw Grant laughing softly. He tried to break free from his grip, but he turned over and pressed her under him. I was a little panicked. What are you doing? The big hands pinched my cheeks, covering half of my face. You can have hot pot, but it's a different price, Miss Sue. Before I could finish my words, my good brother who grew up with me bent down and kissed me hard. I stared at him in disbelief, my eyes wide open. The air was snatched away, my brain was dizzy, and I completely forgot about the hot pot I was going to eat. 16. I hugged the quilt and huddled in the corner of Grant's big bed. He sat at the outermost edge of the bed, keeping a certain distance from me. This was my request. Have you thought it through? I grabbed my hair and it felt so itchy. I was afraid that my brain would soon grow out. Because Grant is crazy, Grant confessed to me. Yes, that's right. 10 minutes ago, after Grant kissed me and licked my mouth, he suddenly confessed to me with very bold words. Troy, do you want a boyfriend? The kind we grew up with. I was dumbfounded. Why did you suddenly bend? Grant's eyes moved away from my face and looked down. His face was full, upright, and full of energy. Since high school. As soon as I see you, I feel very energetic. Damn, what a nasty word. No, why is it that since high school? This is why you refuse to go to the same school as me. Grant nodded. So you're responsible. But didn't you always like girls before? You're not gay. You just think my women's clothes are beautiful. So it's an illusion. I crawled over to him, grabbed his shoulders, and tried like crazy to shake him awake. Grant held my hand with his big hand and looked at me seriously. How do you know I like girls? I felt a dull pain in my heart, and I suppressed my bitterness. Marissa told me, after I graduated from high school, Grant's mother came to me mysteriously and said she had a surprise for me. Aunt Marissa loves Xiaoyu the most. If Grant bullies you in the future, you can use this to deal with him. My eyes widened and I asked curiously, Grant's weakness? Could it be that Grant, who is always quiet and precocious, has a weakness? I was inexplicably excited. Grant's mother looked mysterious. Grant once liked a girl very, very much. As soon as the little girl cried, he would ignore everything else, go to see her every day, and even kiss her secretly. At that time, I was excited about Grant's secret, but now I can't help feeling a little sad. Damn it, he's actually imitating the novels and doing the white moonlight thing? What am I then? A cannon fodder? A vicious male supporting role? After hearing what I said, Grant's face instantly turned red. He looked at me thoughtfully for a long time and hesitantly said, You will know her later. He told me before that he had never had a girlfriend, but now he has a white moonlight. I didn't expect that Grant, who grew up with me, is actually a scumbag. How abominable. 17. At the end of the year, the two families get together for the Chinese New Year. At the dinner table, Grant's mother suddenly asked, How are you two getting along? After asking the question, he and my mom just laughed. I lowered my head and poked at the dumplings in the bowl, feeling confused. What exactly is my current relationship with Grant? He confessed to me, but he still liked another girl. Every time I think about it, my heart still aches. I looked up and saw Grant, who was sitting across the table from me, looking worried. I immediately lowered my head and didn't want to look at him. After finishing the New Year's Eve dinner, I wanted to go back to my room to hide from Grant. As soon as I reached the door, I heard the door of the next room open with a click. A hand pulled me over and pressed me against the door. He touched my forehead and asked, "Why are you listless? Do you have a cold?" Then he leaned forward to kiss me, saying, "Give me your cold and you'll be fine." She turned her head to avoid his attack. "Grant?" Before I could finish my words, Grant saw that I looked unhappy and thought that my answer was a rejection. He turned my head over directly, and the warm temperature mixed with the refreshing mint smell was Grant's smell. I was forced to endure it, but I felt like crying. Tears wet Grant's lips. "Grant, if you have a girl you like, don't mess with me. If you do this, we won't be able to be brothers anymore." "Fool." Grant sighed, pulled me and asked me to sit on the bed, and then he went to the bookshelf to get a photo album. He sat on the bed, held me in his arms, and placed the photo album in front of me. "Let me show you what my favorite girl looks like." I wanted to cry, but I couldn't help watching it. When I opened the photo album, it was filled with photos of a little girl with a round face, dimples, and pigtails. She looked about 5 or 6 years old, and her smile was very cute. But this person is too young and too familiar. This is clearly me as a child. I looked back at Grant in disbelief. He bent down and kissed my shoulder gently. There was a heartless person who had a bad memory and falsely accused me of liking someone else. "I don't like anyone else, I like Troy. I only like him." Teen. I looked at the photo album during the day, and old memories came knocking on my door in my dreams at night. I remember that was when my family just moved here. Marissa is a warm and lively person. When she heard that there was a new neighbor, she brought Grant to my house immediately. I was wearing a little princess dress and had a bob haircut. I was sitting in the yard, building a sandcastle with a small shovel. When I looked up, I saw a little boy standing in front of me with a red face. "Can I play with you?" Marissa, who was standing nearby, said to my mother in surprise. "My son Grant never plays with other kids in the neighborhood, but he wants to play with your daughter." My mother covered her mouth and laughed. "What daughter?" "That's my son Troy. He's dressed like this so that I can draw pictures and he can be my little model." I sat aside and looked at Grant with admiration. On the ground is a sand castle built by Grant, with clear edges and corners. It is simply amazing. "Grant, you're awesome." Grant blushed and asked me, "What's your name?" "My name is Troy." And so, Grant misunderstood that I had a daughter until he was 10 years old. He was devastated, and from then on, he put the matter aside and did not allow anyone to mention it. As for me, I fell ill when I was 8 years old and had long forgotten all these things. 19. When I remembered everything, I pointed at Grant and laughed. "You actually thought I was a girl. You pissed me off. Don't regret it." The result of my complacency was that on the afternoon of New Year's Day, Grant kidnapped me and took me home under the ambiguous gazes of my 2 sets of parents. The body is like a controlled boat, being repeatedly hit by the waves of the sea. The moment the voice came out, it became fragmented. When they reached the top, they couldn't help but leave a circle of teeth marks on Grant's shoulder. It was like a symbol branding Grant's ownership from then on. "Troy." "Grant?" The sound of firecrackers outside the window, in the lights of thousands of families reunited. Life achieves great harmony at this moment.